Just wanted to comment on a couple things to the police officers. They're just taking a survey here, a face survey. Just a side note. I noticed that there are no black cops in this contingent. Maybe it must be because there's no black people in Tacoma. That's why there's no black cops. Or perhaps these are volunteers, and none of the black cops want to beat up on people who are engaged in civil protests. I hope that's not the case. But I want to make some comments about the war being illegal that Drew talked about. And my name's Larry Muscetta, if you're taking notes. Basically, the fact that the war is illegal is not a disputable point. It's illegal under the Geneva Convention, under the Nuremberg Trial Convention, under Article 51 of the UN Charter. Even Richard Pearl, Bush's national security person, pointed out the war was illegal. So what you're doing is protecting illegal war. And what the peaceful protesters did today, and what the peaceful protesters did last night, was absolutely illegal. So we would encourage you to find out the war is illegal. So I know you have a hard time talking about this in your locker room, but individually, maybe you can go to the website, because there's a War Crimes Tribunal here in Tacoma last month, and the findings are on the web at wartribunal.org. 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 You can download it if you want. So don't be used like the good Germans were used in the 1930s, because they were good people and they were being used. And their leaders were hung not because they lost the war, and these are the words of the Nuremberg Tribunal, the head of Jackson, the Supreme Court Justice of the United States. Their leaders were hung not because they lost the war, but because they started it, a war of aggression. So that's something you should think about. So take a look at that. Tell your kids, wartribunal.org. You may not have known about it before, but you know about it now. Take a look at it, read about it. You've been trained in the use of force. So if Bush shows up here again, you should arrest Bush. You should arrest Cheney. You should arrest these war criminals. That's your oath. That's your obligation.
Lifelong resident of Olympia, Washington, proud veteran of the United States Navy, and proud anti-war and pro-justice activist. I want everyone who spoke here today to know that your words really moved me very deeply. I wanted to say a couple things to our uniformed public servants here. I am indeed the individual who was dogpiled and tased 3 times on Sunday evening. And the only thing I will say to you about that incident is that obviously I am not afraid, because I have come back here every single night, and obviously none of anyone else here is afraid, because they all knew what happened and they kept coming out. That is conviction. That is a duty that goes far beyond orders, far beyond a paycheck. We are here to do what we can to stop this war, because it is the right thing to do. When I enlisted in the Navy, one of my primary motivations was to be a hero. I grew up reading comic books like everyone else, and I saw, all the ads and stuff, and thought, wow, I want to go off and be a hero, protect democracy and stuff. And I'm sure there are some of those, some of you within your ranks that read stories and saw television shows and cartoons with police officers and said, wow, I want to be a hero, I want to go protect people. And I'd really like to ask you to reevaluate what you're doing. Do you think you really are being a hero? As Mr. Andrew Hendricks said earlier, you are protecting property. You are protecting people like George Bush and Dick Cheney, the war criminals of this country, and then arresting us for doing nothing more than trying to exercise our freedom of speech.